I'm Bookface, and welcome back to what I call the less than ideal playlist for Ben 10 aliens. I talked about the first half in a different video, which you can watch here, but if you don't particularly care about continuity, then I'll just explain it again. This series is me taking aliens from Ben 10, finding similar aliens from real-world sightings. I make my comparisons, then group them into a list of 10 to create playlists for my own hypothetical omnitrix. The general rules for how I make my comparisons are in the description, and details about the actual sightings are available on my website. This video used continuity of Omniverse and the Inktank's 5YL to create a funky little playlist specifically made up of aliens that have little, or at least extremely specific, power. That out of the way, zero time. Alien numero 6 para esta playlist is the Atrocian, referred to by Ben quite rudely as the worst. And I'm pretty sure that's space racist. For that, we look to the Los Alcazares pudgy alien to make the transformation I call thick skin. Now, these solidly built guys are mostly just a visual match because it seemed kind of impossible to work in the detail of technical invulnerability into an alien sighting. I guess someone just pulled out a Glock, but even then, it's a bit conjecture. My explanation for that unlikely feature is that since these things are so solidly built, their fat tissue could absorb a great deal of impact, along with the fact that we'll say that, like its name suggests, this thing's got really thick skin. This guy's power is basically just being the definition of a damage sponge. Oh no. Number 7 is a fun little addition from an unknown species called Bob the Blob. I love this one since he doesn't come from the show, but he is technically canon in a way. He comes from a Latin American commercial where he is specifically shown to be comedically useless. Technically the same premise as in the Omniverse episode, but unlike those ones that I'm still kind of iffy on, this one I just think is really funny. So our version of this guy is the Domston Blob, being a much more simplified version of this design, which I call glory. It's able to grip things tightly, but it's hard to get a grip on the alien itself because of its squishy gelatinous body, which technically makes him more useful than Bob the Blob from the commercial, since this guy can actually control how grippy he is. But I think that's necessary for him to be able to do anything and functionally survive. Number 8 is another transformation from a background alien in Omniverse, an unknown species represented by the tentacle vendor in Omniverse, as well as just showing up in the background a ton of times. In our universe, this alien is the Mount Incahuasi alien, which I call Area 51. So I was able to find very little about the alien from the show, other than the fact that he's just a weird rabbit. So his powers are, being a rabbit, so enhanced senses, high speed, agility, and some jumping power. But as a fun little note to get the comparison to our version, since the sighted creature is specifically cited as having very stiff legs, I say it jumps basically only from its ankles, while the legs themselves stay completely straight. Now, this creature, rather than just being very effective in extremely specific scenarios, is just kind of average all around that can be used in a number of circumstances. Not really a powerhouse, yet considering all the aliens on this playlist, it kind of is. Alien number 9 is the 5YL Omnitrix sample of Averta Minor DNA, which Ben calls Ripcord, which I call an excellent Beyblade reference. Once again, this creature is added to 5YL through Kuro the artist's drawing of a design conceptualized by Ben Bolt 504, according to the wiki. The bizarre alien we use for this one is legitimately called the Long Prairie Beer Can Aliens, which I call Bud Lightyear. Yeah, this one's getting weird. So, the fact that this alien's shaped like a cylinder with 3 limbs obviously fits, but we also have another kind of detail about how in the sighting this thing left behind some weird oily substance, much like how Ripcord creates a sort of gel to work like the Beyblade bumper. I'll also say, instead of floating to spin, like in the official Inktank version, they use the oil to accelerate by lubricating the ground and just going faster and faster, and also creating sparks, because oil. Unfortunately, the sighting doesn't say anything about them spinning incredibly fast, so taking a little bit of liberties there. For number 10, we have the, oh boy, Snidelerodontus DNA, known to Ben as Snark Tank, one of my favorite alien names, aside from Thriller Whale. Now, this is a non-canon transformation made from a background character, but instead of me just looking through the show and scanning for every possible interesting design, this was actually made a transformation when it was recolored by Derek J. Wyatt, who worked on Alien Force and Ultimate Alien and was also the art coordinator for Omniverse. Our version of Snark Tank comes in the form of the Urba Martian, and if you've watched both of these, you might notice that, funnily enough, this playlist both starts and ends with a supposed Martian.
Ever wonder what happened to Mars?
But this one is the transformation I call Astroquarium. It had a humanoid form covered in fish scales, and the lower half of its body was completely in some flying artificial container. You know, kind of like Snark Tank being a shark in a Tank. Now, Snark Tank's powers are insulting people so bad they result in several points of
emotional damage.
So, since this version of the sighted alien can communicate in a psychic way and induce paralysis, I'm just gonna say that it causes its target to freeze up by just roasting them into oblivion. Which is also quite fitting, actually, because the Martian in its sighting seemed kind of annoyed and ready to sass the person who saw it. Truly an iconic alien. And there's the end of the less than ideal playlist. I love doing this. Studying aliens is the weirdest of the weird stuff for me to do, and sometimes can be a little exhausting emotionally. But doing it like this makes it super fun. What Ben 10 aliens would you like to see next? Type them down below and I'll try to find a comparison in past sightings. A whole lot of sightings. Also, if you like this, please let me know, because I'd crave validation. And I'd love to hear if people want to see more of this. And with that, I'll see you next time. Bye!